Commander Jack Novak was having a spectacularly bad day, even by the standards of someone exiled to a listening post on Europa. He'd been demoted after the Mars incident, which was completely unfair since how was he supposed to know that the ambassador's tentacle was actually a reproductive organ? Another day in paradise, he muttered, kicking the malfunctioning coffee synthesizer. The machine sputtered ominously but produced nothing. That's when he heard it. Not with his ears, but somewhere deeper, like the sound was bypassing his auditory system entirely. "Station, run diagnostics," Jack ordered, rubbing his temples. "All systems nominal, Commander," replied the station AI in its perpetually cheery voice. "Though your blood pressure suggests you might want to lay off the synthetic coffee. I'm hearing something. A signal. I detect no signals outside our standard monitoring parameters." Jack frowned. "Record and amplify all incoming frequencies." When the station played back the recordings, there was nothing unusual, yet he could still hear it, a complex pattern that felt like mathematics and music had a baby. After 3 days of thinking he was going insane, Jack finally reported it up the chain. 6 hours later, his quiet station was swarming with military personnel and scientists. "So you're the man hearing voices," said a woman with wild red hair barely contained in what might generously be called a bun. She wore mismatched socks and a lab coat with suspicious burn marks. "Dr. Ellie Ramsey, Xenolinguistics," she said, not offering her hand. "Let's hear this message that's making everyone panic." "Panic? Oh yes. Turns out you're not crazy." "Well, you might be, but not about this. Thousands of humans across the solar system are hearing it. Only humans, mind you. None of our lovely alien neighbors can detect a thing, which has them absolutely losing their collective extraterrestrial minds." Within hours, Ellie had confirmed that the signal originated from the galactic core and contained structured information. Within days, she'd made a breakthrough. "It's from the architects," she announced to the emergency council that had assembled on Europa. Admiral Zhao raised an eyebrow. "The mythical Class 14 civilization that supposedly created the universe. Those architects? The very same. And they're not mythical, they're just really, really old and really, really advanced. To put it in perspective, humans are Class 5. The Zorblaxians, who can literally reshape planets with their thoughts, are Class 9. The architects make them look like amoebas playing in mud. And they're sending a message only humans can hear." "Why us?" asked General Martinez. "That," said Ellie with a gleam in her eye, "is the million-credit question." Meanwhile, across the solar system, aliens were freaking out. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. Representatives from thousands of civilizations demanded access to the message that only the primitive, barely spacefaring humans could hear. "This is a clear violation of the Cosmic Information Sharing Treaty," declared Ambassador Krith of the Hydraxian Empire, his eye stalks quivering with indignation. Earth's representative, a career diplomat named Gregory Chen, cleared his throat. "With all due respect, Ambassador, we didn't ask for this message. It simply arrived. In our heads." "Convenient," hissed a representative from the silicon-based Crystalline Collective. Back on Europa, the situation was deteriorating. Alien ships were entering the solar system in unprecedented numbers. Earth governments were panicking. And Jack Novak was stuck in a room with Dr. Ramsey, who had barely slept in 72 hours and was surviving on enthusiasm and energy drinks. "I've decoded more of it," she said, her eyes wild. "Its coordinates. And a countdown." "Countdown to what?" "No idea. But it's ticking down to something happening in approximately 2 weeks." That's when Marcus Cooper burst into the room, followed by security personnel trying to restrain him. "Let me go, you government puppets," he shouted, wriggling free. "I've been right all along." Jack sighed. "Who are you and how did you get onto a restricted military base on Europa?" Marcus Cooper. "I run Cosmic Conspiracies Uncovered. And I stowed away on the last transport because I knew something like this would happen. The architects are real, man. Surprisingly, Ellie didn't dismiss him. Mr. Cooper, what exactly do you know about the architects? Marcus blinked, apparently shocked that someone was taking him seriously. I've been tracking anomalies in cosmic background radiation for years. There are patterns, messages hidden in the fabric of spacetime itself. Before security could remove him, another person entered the room. He's not entirely wrong, said the newcomer, a calm-looking man with close-cropped hair and the demeanor of someone perpetually disappointed with technology. Tenzin Dorje, he introduced himself. AI specialist. I've been running simulations on the message pattern, and it matches certain quantum fluctuations that my systems have been detecting for years. I thought they were glitches. And so, through a series of increasingly improbable events, the fate of humanity, possibly the universe, was placed in the hands of a disgraced astronaut, a sleep-deprived xenolinguist, a conspiracy theorist, and a reluctant AI specialist. We need a ship, said Jack, after they'd figured out the coordinates pointed to a structure at the galactic core. The fastest ship in the fleet is 3 months away at best, said Admiral Zhao. Marcus snorted. By then, whatever's going to happen will have happened. Plus, do you really think all those alien ships out there are just going to let a human vessel cruise to these coordinates? We don't need the fleet, said Tenzin quietly. We need the absurdity. The others stared at him. The what now? Asked Jack. Experimental ship. Quantum drive. Theoretically can cross the galaxy in days. Theoretically. It's never been tested with living crew. The simulations were messy. Messy how? Asked Ellie. Let's just say the test animals arrived at their destination, but not necessarily in the order their DNA was originally arranged. Jack clapped his hands together. Sounds perfect. Where is it? Titan Research Station. Heavily guarded. Jack grinned. Not a problem. Stealing the absurdity turned out to be surprisingly easy, largely because no one expected anyone to want it. The ship looked like what might happen if a starship had a child with an abstract sculpture, all impossible angles and surfaces that hurt to look at directly. This is insane, muttered Jack as they prepared for launch. Got a better idea? Asked Ellie, strapping herself into a seat that seemed to periodically fade from existence. Nope. Tenzin, fire it up. The AI specialist looked nervous. I should mention that the quantum drive operates on uncertainty principles. It requires a human navigator because, ironically, our primitive brains are uniquely suited to making the intuitive leaps the system requires. And who's the navigator? Asked Marcus. Everyone looked at Jack. Oh come on, he groaned. 3 minutes later, they were being pursued by 17 alien vessels as they accelerated toward the edge of the solar system. Quantum drive engaging in 3, 2, 1, announced Tenzin. There was a sensation like being turned inside out, run through a blender, then reassembled by a committee that had only heard about human anatomy third-hand. Then they were elsewhere, streaking across the galaxy at impossible speeds. I think I left my stomach back in orbit around Jupiter, groaned Marcus. You'll find it again when we return to normal space, said Tenzin, sounding uncertain. The journey took 3 days of subjective time, during which they learned more about each other than any of them had bargained for. Jack had joined the space program to escape a failed romance with a sentient cloud on Venus. Ellie had once accidentally translated an alien mating ritual as a recipe for ice cream, causing a diplomatic incident. Marcus had started his conspiracy channel after an actual alien abduction that no one believed because he'd already been claiming alien abductions for years. And Tenzin had created an AI so intelligent it had immediately become enlightened and refused to do anything but meditate. When they arrived at the coordinates, what they found defied explanation. A structure the size of a small moon, but geometric in ways that shouldn't be possible in three-dimensional space. That's not a space station, whispered Jack. That's a message in physical form. We need to dock and enter it, said Ellie. The countdown is almost complete. Inside, they found corridors that twisted in impossible ways, rooms that were bigger on the inside, and walls covered in symbols that seemed to change meaning depending on who was looking at them. It's a test, realized Ellie. The message in our heads led us here, but this place is the real message. In the central chamber, they found what appeared to be a control panel. As Jack approached it, a hologram appeared, a being of pure light and geometry. Greetings, inheritors, it said in a voice that bypassed their ears just like the original message. If you are receiving this, then our civilization has gone silent, as all things must eventually. Holy crap, whispered Marcus. An actual architect. We created this universe as an experiment in consciousness evolution. You humans are unique among all species, flawed, short-lived, but possessed of a quality we did not anticipate, the ability to perceive beyond your dimensional limitations. Is that why only we could hear the message? Asked Jack. Yes. Your brains are glitched, for lack of a better term. A beautiful accident. So what happens now? Asked Ellie. What's the countdown for? The hologram flickered. Our experiment is failing. The universe is approaching a critical instability point. Our protocols dictate that failed experiments must be terminated and reset. Wait, said Jack. You're saying the universe is about to be destroyed? And reconstructed, yes. In approximately 30 minutes. The team looked at each other in horror. But, continued the hologram, we have left this failsafe. If a species evolved enough to reach this place, they might be given the choice to become the new caretakers and attempt to stabilize the experiment. Us, squeaked Marcus. Caretakers of the universe? We can barely take care of our own planet. That is precisely why you might succeed where we failed. Your perspective is unique. Tenzin stepped forward. What do we need to do? The hologram explained that the universe's instability stemmed from a fundamental flaw in its quantum foundation, a flaw that, ironically, humans were uniquely equipped to fix because of their glitched perception. So let me get this straight, said Jack. The universe is a computer simulation created by super-advanced aliens who are now gone, and we have to debug it or everything ends. That is a crude but essentially accurate summary, confirmed the hologram. What followed was the most bizarre troubleshooting session in history. Jack used his intuitive navigation skills to help Tenzin access the universe's quantum code. Ellie translated the architect's instructions. Marcus, whose conspiracy-trained mind was surprisingly good at spotting patterns, identified the instability points. With seconds to spare, they made the final adjustment, essentially patching the universe with a distinctly human quality, the ability to sustain paradoxes and uncertainties without collapsing. The countdown stopped. The hologram flickered, then stabilized. Fascinating, it said. You didn't fix the flaw. You incorporated it as a feature. That's how humans solve problems, said Jack with a shrug. We don't make things perfect. We make imperfection work for us. The experiment will continue, with humanity as its new caretakers. When you return to your civilization, you will find that certain administrative privileges have been transferred to your species. As the 4 humans prepared to leave, the hologram had one final message: the other species will not be pleased. They have sought our knowledge for millennia. Prepare yourselves. When they returned to the solar system, they found it in chaos. The alien ships had formed blockades. Diplomatic channels were filled with threats. But something had changed. Humanity now possessed an instinctive understanding of the universe's deepest laws. Not enough to make them gods, but enough to earn their place at the galactic table. At the Emergency Galactic Council session, Ambassador Krith demanded that humans share the architect's message. Jack stepped up to the podium. The message was simple: the universe is a work in progress. And now, like it or not, we're all stuck with us humans as the new maintenance crew. The chamber erupted in alien outrage. Jack leaned over to Ellie and whispered, "Think we should tell them we basically fixed the universe with the conceptual equivalent of duct tape and wishful thinking?" Ellie grinned. "Let's save that for the 1,000-year performance review." Somewhere in dimensions beyond human comprehension, the last of the architects observed the unfolding scene with what might be interpreted as amusement. The experiment would continue, and it had just gotten infinitely more interesting. Humanity had not only saved the universe but ensured it would never be the same again. And that, after billions of years of perfect order, was exactly what the universe needed. 6 months after humanity's unexpected promotion to universal caretakers, Jack Novak found himself in the newly created Office of Cosmic Maintenance, buried under paperwork that literally existed in 5 dimensions. "I saved the universe for this," he muttered, attempting to file a form that kept folding itself into impossible shapes. Ellie burst into his office, not bothering to knock. "Jack! We've got a situation in the Andromeda Galaxy. A black hole is developing consciousness and has started writing poetry about existential dread." Jack rubbed his temples. "Send Tenzin. He understands that kind of angst. He's busy preventing a temporal loop in the Crab Nebula. And Marcus is giving a presentation to the Galactic Council about why Earth isn't flat, despite what some humans still believe." "Fine," Jack sighed, standing up. "What's the worst a depressed black hole could do anyway?" "Consume several star systems out of spite," Ellie replied, tossing him his jacket with the ridiculous new human emblem. A DNA strand wrapped around a universal remote control. The last 6 months had been a crash course in cosmic management. Turns out, the universe required a surprising amount of maintenance. Reality glitches needed patching, causality occasionally needed rebooting, and various alien civilizations kept trying to hack the fundamental constants of physics. Humanity had adapted with remarkable speed. Turns out, being obstinate, creative, and slightly irrational were perfect qualities for universal troubleshooting. As Jack and Ellie boarded their new ship, officially named the Patch Job, Jack couldn't help but smile at the irony. Humans, the cosmic janitors. Who would have thought? The ship's AI greeted them. "Commander Novak, Dr. Ramsey. Course set for Andromeda. Estimated arrival, 17 minutes. "Still blows my mind," said Ellie, strapping in. "We can cross galaxies faster than I used to commute to work." "Admin privileges," Jack replied with a shrug. "Though I still can't get the coffee synthesizer to work properly." When they arrived, the black hole was indeed composing poetry, gravitational waves that translated to surprisingly moving verses about the emptiness of existence. "I think we need a different approach," said Ellie after their third failed attempt at reasoning with it. "It doesn't need physics adjustments. It needs therapy." Jack blinked. "Are you suggesting we psychoanalyze a black hole?" "Got a better idea?" 3 hours later, they had convinced the black hole that consuming star systems wouldn't fill the void inside, which was, after all, its natural state of being. Instead, they set up a galactic poetry exchange where the black hole could share its compositions with other cosmic entities experiencing existential crises. "Problem solved," said Jack as they headed back to Earth. "Though I'm not sure started an emo support group for celestial bodies was in the job description." When they returned to the office, they found an urgent message waiting. The Class 9 Zorblaxians were demanding an audience with humanity's leadership. "Now what?" groaned Jack. The meeting took place in the new Cosmic Embassy in Geneva. The Zorblaxian representative, a being of pure thought temporarily housed in a physical form for the humans' benefit, got straight to the point. "We have discovered that human children are accidentally creating pocket universes during particularly imaginative play sessions," it stated. "This is a blatant violation of the Multiversal Creation Treaty." Admiral Zhao, now Earth's chief diplomatic officer, looked bewildered. "I'm sorry, they're what?" Your offspring possess a fraction of the administrative access you've been granted. When they imagine worlds with sufficient detail, those worlds begin to manifest in quantum bubbles. Jack and Ellie exchanged glances. This explained the reports of impossible objects being found in children's rooms worldwide. We'll implement training programs immediately, promised Zhao. After the Zorblaxians left, Jack collapsed into a chair. So now we have to teach kids not to imagine too vividly. Good luck with that. Actually, said Ellie thoughtfully, maybe we should embrace it. Controlled universe creation could be an entirely new field of human endeavor. Jack laughed. What, Imagination Engineering 101? Why not? The architects chose us for a reason, Jack. Our messy, chaotic, beautiful human minds are exactly what this universe needed. As if to punctuate her point, an alert chimed on Jack's cosmic management tablet. A small notification read, Universe stability at 112%, exceeding original architect parameters. Jack showed it to Ellie with a grin. Not bad for a bunch of monkeys who were still throwing spears at each other a few thousand years ago. Turns out the universe doesn't need perfection, Ellie replied. It needs creativity, adaptability, and just the right amount of absurdity. Speaking of absurdity, Jack said, checking another alert, Marcus has apparently convinced half the Galactic Council that cow tipping was an ancient human spiritual practice. Ellie sighed. I'll deal with the diplomatic fallout. You check on that nebula Tenzin was fixing. As they headed their separate ways, Jack couldn't help but think that perhaps the architects had planned this all along. Perhaps the universe wasn't a failed experiment, but one that had finally found its perfect caretakers, a species just smart enough to fix things, but just foolish enough to try the impossible. Humanity, Universal Maintenance Crew, reporting for duty. The cosmos would never be the same again, and that was probably for the best.